Okay, check, check, check. Okay, cool. How are you today, Ron? I'm good. I gotta get ready to do my radio voice, my podcast voice. I gotta do my intro. And of course this gets edited out of the podcast, but it'll be on the video that we're doing. So yeah. So I gotta okay. That might be a little dramatic. Maybe. Okay. I'm ready. Let's talk about business. Let's help people. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the Quick Talk Business Podcast. My name, as you know, is Joshua Latimer, and my job is simple, is to bring you real-life insights from some of the small business success stories from all over the world. And today is a special episode. It's unique. It's a little different than anything I've done before. Not only am I actually video recording this conversation with my friend Rohn, but I'm talking to a guy who's really outside of the home service space. And his name's Rohn Gibson. He comes from the absolutely wild and fascinating state of Iowa. A little bit of sarcasm there, but seriously, he's doing big things. He's become a very close friend, and he's the guy that I do my weekly mastermind group with. And it's been a crazy journey. We're going to talk about all kinds of fun stuff. Ron, thank you for carving out some time today to do the recording. How are you? Yeah, well, I think you're going to bring a lot of value to people. So sometimes people get confused and they think that whatever trade they're in, whatever their technical profession is, that's kind of where they need to live. And those are the people they need to network. But there is a lot to be gained from just business in general because there's so much crossover. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're selling software, if you're selling, a new roof to someone, if you're cleaning something. Most businesses have the same internal guts in the architecture. You have a sales team, you have a way that you manage your customer relationships, you have, all these different moving parts, and it's basically the same thing. So let's get into that a little bit. Can you first tell us who you are and a little bit about your background? No, how dare you pollute my podcast with that? Okay, I'm just kidding. Are they still? Is the college still open? Do they still do stuff? I didn't. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Yeah, yeah, yep. Awesome. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, my mic was acting weird. Ron, that's awesome. And I want to unpack that a little bit for some people. Let me give you a nutshell version. Ron is a sales and marketing expert who specializes in software. I mean, you're being a little modest, but you've personally sold millions of dollars in software over many years. You're the vice president of sales for a multi-million dollar web-based company. That's really cool. And so that's a whole nother world. And a lot of the guys that listen to this, they're home service companies. So they might be thinking, how does this apply? Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. And yeah, and a lot of small local hometown businesses, they operate as lone rangers a little bit, and they kind of try to do everything themselves. And the disadvantage of doing that, well, there's many disadvantages, but one of them is you can't put together a real strategy unless you have a team. It's hard to be the HR department, the office manager, the technician. You're changing their own brake pads in your own company vehicle. You're also, the customer complaint department and the whatever, and then try to put together some strategy. So it can be difficult. So, in my boot camp, I talk a lot about, how to assemble a world-class team and how to lead them. And you know better than anybody that things can get really interesting when you have a team around you. And even with Church Spring, we talked, before we started recording this, how you had your first, team meeting, because some of your staff members are from all over the world. But yeah, there's so many directions we can go with this. But I want to start with accountability. So we started this going in this mastermind. You organized it. We found each other. You found me on a little website called Fizzle, because I have a software company. I was trying to network with some people to learn. I have a lot to learn in that space. And we connected and we started doing it. So why did you start the mastermind group? What did you hope to gain out of it? I mean, what was the purpose? Yeah. Well, there's about 73 things I could talk about right now, but because you're firing me up. But yes, so faith, family, work was definitely one of the core reasons we founded that. That's something that, my heart wants. I want to put my faith first and my family second, my work, but it often doesn't happen. But by being in a group of like-minded people, it really puts the pressure on you to execute, like you said. An idea without a date on it, without any accountability, is just a dream, right? It's not even a real goal. So how do you make things happen? You don't have to call it a mastermind group, but get around people who are trying to go in the same direction that you're going, because iron sharpens iron kind of thing. And it is really cool to be on the hot seat and have that team atmosphere every week. It's been a huge thing, right? I got the same thing coming because I also had to pay a penalty to the Ohio State University, right? Or the okay, yeah. So it's a nightmare. I can't unsubscribe from their email list or some sort of glitch. It emails me every couple weeks, but thanking me for my generous donation. So, but the point is this: is surround yourself with like-minded people, get yourself accountability, have fun with it, but also take it really seriously. And what I wanted to say was, when I was younger, I would do anything I could to escape accountability, right? Like when I was a teenager, it's like you want to grow up and you want to go do your own thing and be my own man, and I know better and nobody can tell me, and it's like you're running from accountability. And the ironic thing is that I find myself now, 4 kids later, multiple businesses and all this stuff going on, and I crave accountability. I can recognize my own need for accountability. So I've come full circle, Ron. I need it. It's good. The friction, the pressure, the accountability of accountability. It works. It works. Yeah. Well, thank you too. I mean, you've had a lot of major insights for me as I move into a new space that I'm not familiar with. But if you guys sit around, everybody listening, and hope that your business is going to save your day someday, and hope that your next guy that you hire is going to just magically take stuff off your plate, and you're going to magically grow things, you're just self-deluded, and you are responsible for you. And the thing that Ron did that was unique that a lot of people don't do is he took action. He reached out, he wrote big long emails, he figured out a Google Hangouts, he set it all up, he invited people. I mean, he put it out there. He put it into the world, and we grabbed onto it, and we've derived value because of his action. He took massive action. So in your business, if you want to grow, if you want to get more automated, if you want to get more systemized, if you want to have a better company culture, if it's a drag to work for you and you want to turn that around, you got to take action. It doesn't have to be perfect action. It just has to be something. And so mastermind, to me, it's about forcing ourselves, to take action in bite-sized chunks every week. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and having courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers. Having courage, I tell this to my sons all the time. I say, no, 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 boys, don't get confused. Being brave, having courage, you're still afraid, but you do the right thing anyway. That's why it's so epic. I mean, if you weren't afraid at all, can you really even call it courage to begin with? I mean, so you're not going to have all the answers. You're not going to figure out every how question, which people are so obsessed with. It's like, well, what do you want? And they're like, well, but how am I going to? No, 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 no. What do you want? Yeah, but how am I going to do that? Or I don't know how to do. It's like, wait a second. What do you want? And then after you know that, what can you do? What massive action can you take today? Without having all the answers, without being perfectly comfortable, what can you do right now to move you a little bit towards that, to take some action right now? And it's those little bite-sized chunks. And that I honestly struggle with that. I'm an all or nothing person. Like when I work out until I want to puke, or I just sit on the couch and eat Cheez-Its all day and do nothing. It's like, it's hard for me to have that steady, consistent thing. And I think other people are like that too, but Yeah. Absolutely. And it's so hard to see that for some people sometimes, including myself. I mean, think of 6 months ago, everybody listening, right? 6 months ago until today, right? That it was like 2 seconds, right? It's amazing how quick time flies when you're looking backwards at it. Well, when you're looking forwards, you can feel emotionally overwhelmed by stuff, but you have to listen to what Ron's saying, and the same things that I teach in Automate, Grow, Sell, and everything I talk about is you have to reverse engineer a plan, which is what you did with your CMS system, and you have to reverse engineer, and then just it's all about the daily behaviors, the small little actions, and you only have so much willpower. But if you surround yourself with like-minded people and you keep getting up and moving forward, the next 6 months will go by just as fast as the last one did, and you're going to have a ton more stuff in place for your business. And it doesn't mean it will be everything that you want it, but you're going to have another layer, that foundation laid. So I think that's incredible, and it relates to cleaning companies or anybody. It's a mindset, like you said. It's a way of viewing the world. Let's move on into one little realm here of the faith, family, work thing, because we're both Christians, and I'm unashamedly a Christian. In fact, I have a problem with how passive Christian men are now. It's like these little, they're scared. They sit around and like, well, my job's to be really nice. Well, no, it's not. Our job isn't to be mean, but the Bible doesn't say, and thou shalt be nice, right? Jesus spoke the truth, right? In love. And everybody wanted, look what they did to him, right? So, I mean, the point of being a Christian male, we're so neutered. It's like we feel bad for succeeding in business. We feel bad or guilty for wanting to achieve greatness and to have excellence in our life and to try to win and compete in business and to try to dominate the competition and just to go crush it, right? And we hop on our mastermind call. We don't sit there and just pray and cry to each other all day because we're Christian men. No, we strategize on how to execute on the business because I view business as my ministry. I view business as my thing. It's in my bones. It's in your bones. What does that look like? Unpack some of what I said. What's your thoughts on what I just said, Ron? Yeah. Massive action. Right. Yeah. Oh, it's massive. I mean, capitalism is so polluted now. The idea of, build something, create something, lift yourself up, and by default, you lift those around you up. Everything's so corrupt, and people are so skeptical, and they're over it, and these companies are so big, and there's no fair weights and measures. It's so corrupt, the way the banking system works and fractional reserve banking. I'm not going to go down that road, but there's so much stuff broken, but we can make huge impacts in little tiny ways in our companies. And I remember even with the first person I ever hired, my job was to love that guy and to be a light into his world. That doesn't mean I'm not perfect. My God, I'm so sick of trying to act like we're supposed to be nice, sanitized, neutered Christian men. That's not what it is at all. It's not even real. It's fake. It's inauthentic. Do you think King David walked around and talked to his mighty men, right? The guy who killed Goliath, he was the king of Israel. You think he walked around and was like, well, we're going to have a team meeting, everybody. Just gather around, and how's everybody feel? Does everybody feel okay? No, this guy was the tip of the spear maniac. And did he love the Lord? Yeah, a lot. Did he make mistakes? Yes. Did he repent? Yes, but he did stuff. And when he killed Goliath, he had to go walk out there, get the stones, walk out there, and, that's massive action coupled with the faith. Well, you said you got this lead to get 300 churches with, hundreds of thousands in revenue. It's a massive, huge thing that is sitting in front of you right now. Most people, Ron, they don't take the action. They're waiting for the 300 opportunity to happen. Then they'll take the action, right? Yeah. 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 Well, imagine someone asking King David, "Are you sure God told you to kill Goliath?" I don't know, man. It's like you just got to go for it if you know. But I moved to Costa Rica, sold all of our stuff. That was a 2-year process for us. We didn't do it in 5 seconds. It's like I felt this weird feeling like, God, I just feel like we need to move to Costa, which I thought was an island, and it's not. I mean, I didn't even know the place, and that tug never went away for a year, and then it was on my wife too. And then when I wasn't feeling it, she was, and when she wasn't, I was, and we put things in place. I actually sold my cleaning business without ever putting it for sale. A lot of people don't know that because it was just timed out. It had to happen. It would have been difficult for me to manage it. I really wanted to sell it, but everything just lined up. But it was after we had already taken steps, made 3 trips down there, networked, connected with people, tried to figure out residency, all that stuff. So yeah, and the last thing on this, and we can switch over to something else, is I love the analogy of 2 farmers, and they both pray for rain, right? but only one of them gets out there and starts planting seed in the ground. And that's really what the massive action is. It's like faith without works is dead, right? It's like do something, go after it, take massive action, coupled with, that's the evidence of your real faith, to be honest, anyway. So, but I know what it's like to be on the other side of that too. So anyway, for us, faith, family, work, balance, how do we crush it? How do we have big, wild, audacious goals? But also be a great dad and cannonball with our kids in the pool and actually be present in the moment when they talk to us. Because for me, I'm super bad at this. I love my family. They're my heart. But I get very, very focused on what I'm working on. And so it's hard for me to downshift. Do you struggle with that? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right in the beginning, when you started talking about that, you used the word intentional. And I love that word. I use that word all the time. And when we talk about business systems, right, I have my boot camp is automategrowsell.com, right? You could almost, in a way, call it intentionalgrowsell.com because a system or a business system that creates automation, all that means is that you're intentional about the mechanism and the way that you do something in some area of your business. But my wife jokes because she says I try to systemize our life, but she doesn't joke in a bad way because she likes it. She sees the value in it. So, I have date night with my wife every Saturday night. I'll cross hell and do anything I can to make sure that happens. I mean, it is super critical that happens. And with my kids, I'm intentional. So, for years now, my oldest is only 9, but for the last 5 years, about 5 years now, I have Maverick Monday, Tucker Tuesday, Sawyer Sunday, and now I have a baby girl named Finley, so that she's going to get Finley Friday. I've only done one with her because she's only 6 months old. But the point is that they know that that's their day, and I do the same thing that you said. I ask them questions. What do you want to do with your life? What's interesting to you? What's something new that you've learned? What are your goals? How's your leadership going? What have you been struggling with? And I literally asked that to my 6-year-old, and the first few, as you do it at first, it seems weird, but then you'll be shocked at some of the deep answers you can get out of these kids when they learn to engage and communicate at a higher level. It doesn't have to be superficial. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, well, it's the number one thing. The first thing I ask on every single coaching call I have is, what is your why? What are we trying to do here? And like, well, Josh, I have a question about when I interview people, sometimes I'm like, no, hold on a second. Well, hey, I got my projections and I did my month over month, blah, 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 year over year. I'm like, wait, whoa. What are we doing here? What are we trying to accomplish here? What is your why? And I force them to distill it down into 2, 3 at the most sentences. One is even better. But the point is that if we don't have a target, a destination, you can't reverse engineer any plan towards that. You have to know where you're going. And when you say, what does success look like for you? It's another way of saying, what is your why? Why do you get out of bed really? Because it's not so you can clean a house. You don't really get out of bed so you can make a sale with software, right? That's something you do. It's not who you are. And so it's awesome. I think we'll use that as the quote in the beginning of the podcast, what you just said there. It was really good stuff. And I want to encourage everybody to just push yourself in creating your why. A lot of people don't even know what it is, Ron. They just don't know. They've never stopped to think about it, really. My dad works really hard for a long, it's decades and decades in a job he's not particularly passionate about. And so over time, you just kind of get numb to, what do I want? Because my favorite statistic, after all, is 10 out of 10 people die. And no one lays on their deathbed and complains because they didn't get the new car back in 88. I wish I would have got the new Corvette instead of the used Corvette. I mean, it's always the same thing, isn't it? It's always the same song they're singing. I wish I would have been a better husband. I wish I would have been a better dad. We have the opportunity to actually take that information out of all the people laying on their deathbed that all say the same thing. And I don't know, here's a crazy idea. Apply it to our life right now before we're 77 years old, right? Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. Yeah, and that can totally happen. I mean, it can happen quick. It sneaks up on you. Right, and to all you guys out there who are feeling like you have some self-limiting beliefs going on, and who am I syndrome and imposter syndrome, I think they call it, where it's like your business is okay, but when you start to dream about it being a little bigger, it feels like you're not the guy that can do that. That's all fake. It's all in your brain, and it's just not true at all. You don't have to be anything special. You just have to take massive action with the right priorities, the right core values, with the right people around you to encourage you. Ron, this has been a great conversation. I'm sure that it's going to help a lot of people. I just want to encourage everybody out there to take some massive action and try to improve yourself in whatever way that you can. Ron, thanks again. Do you have any final closing thoughts? Oh, it's my pleasure. It's happy. It goes two ways. So let's keep on going. It's going to be a great journey. We're going to have a lot of fun this year, and we're not going to feel bad at all when we make millions of dollars and we still have our faith intact at the same time. So we'll see you on Wednesday, I guess. Take care, Ron.